Well, hello there, everyone. Talk about for the Radiator Springs right here. I'm talking about with this this fire truck type character right here, and you see right here is I went ahead and colored in right here is the front part of the truck right here, but you can also see right here that I went ahead and add in like what you call some of these shadows right here. And why is it important, to go ahead and add, any shadows to your colorings and any sorts of drawings that you're working with? And a lot of times, it sure seems that way to where that is it really about just make it a little bit more artistic, or do some people may think about that is toward that you want to show about how much light and density that's coming in from the artwork, like other than bringing the artwork to life or anything like that that talking about is toward it that just another way of showing, I guess, realism, I guess, about how real you want to make the drawing. And but other ways of how you want to go ahead and add an artistic shadow to your work would also be is related to about how much blending that you're able to show everybody. I'm like, that if you're wanting to go ahead and work with the drawing, and then you're going to be like, that you're going to go ahead and add in a shadow at about right here, just because that you want to go ahead show just about how much blend that you can put into to the work right there. And whenever you add a shadow in, what exactly does that really show everybody here? That knowing about that if there's an actual object at about right down here, that I guess that means is to that there's less light coming there. But anyway, but talk about it like with the shadow though. So a lot of times it sure seems that way. That any artist might even say too that anybody who's working that actual coloring book might even say too that why would you want to take the time to add a shadow, even though if the outlines for certain areas for you to color in, why is it that maybe you would want to go ahead and add in a little shadow right there, and like a little blend effect, like just kind of blend it in like that. And you likely want to know too that why would you want to add a shadow, but also, it sure seems that way to where you want to show, like everybody else, about how artistic that you can make something. And I guess you could probably say it too that about whenever you do add a shadow in, that I guess you could say is to where that maybe you can see a little bit more of the object, like with the character right here. You can see where the tires are, and maybe that. I'm like, you try coloring a little bit more of the tires right here, but see what color? Yeah, blue with just a little bit with the blue right there, and just kind of drawing the shape right there. So it seems like that the object comes out a little bit more clear whenever you add a shadow, and you maybe are able to show a little bit more blending right there. So that's usually what I do is after I get done drawing something like an object or anything that comes to my mind, that I'm gonna go ahead and maybe add a shadow right behind it, or if anything right beneath it. And so it sure seems that way to where that whenever you draw a character such as the Cars character, you're going to go ahead and put a shadow right there. And everybody else is probably thinking too that whenever you put a shadow right there, that does that also basically mean is to where that you're kind of about like that for any reason at all, that if all that space right there is all open line, let's just say if you were actually coloring an actual coloring book, and let's just say that if a lot of that whatever space that's left, that you're going to go ahead and just put a shadow right there. And people probably thinking too is to where that why would you want to do that, using all that space right there just to add where that most of the light is darkened, and you want to go ahead and just put a shadow right there. But I just really think too is to where that whenever you put a shadow right here, and also maybe put a little bit of shade right here, if I guess this right here would be water coming out right here for the fire truck, your character right here. But still, that whenever you put a shadow right there, that it could be a number of reasons. But I think is too is to where that whenever you go ahead and draw a shadow, that there's different ways of how you want to represent that shadow. Is it supposed to represent to where that yeah, that the character or maybe light coming up ahead or something like that. And so yeah, I know like everybody else may be thinking too that if you want to go ahead and you rub your finger up against the crayon right there, you just to be able to the markings right there, just to kind of blend in a little bit more of the colors right there. But still, that add in the shadow though, that you're able to represent a little bit more of where that the light is reduced, and then also just to make it a little bit more artistic right there. And if you want to go ahead and just blend a little bit of black right here in the eyes right here. So I really don't know. I mean, if anything, there would probably be a shadow at about right here, where the eyes are. There would be like a little shadow at about right here. So a lot of times whenever you're going to be drawing something, sketching something that you may want to, is that, certain spots where you don't really recognize the shadow. And like, well, why do you think a shadow even really matters? Well, really that, I guess blending, it represents for blending. And if you're trying to blend in about maybe two colors, just kind of allow the colors to work together, that's basically what you're doing right there, is that you're adding a little bit of shadow, and also doing a little bit more blending with the art right there. And so yeah, so it's like working with the artwork right there. And now I can go, I'm like, yeah, a little bit with the blue, go ahead and add a little bit of blue right here. But still, you go ahead and color something, and let's just say if you only have maybe three different colors to work, 3 or 4 different colors to work with, but I may only want to talk about right here is the shadow. But like if it was like maybe if it's a fire truck right here, you have right here's like a little ladder right here, along with the water coming out, and then any other details of the truck right here. But it sure seems that way, that that whenever you put a shadow in a drawing, though, I'm like, I guess, does that really show any source of realism whenever it comes to a drawing? And some might even say too that, well, that's really something that you would do. I'm like, yeah, I guess if you're trying to represent that you're drawing a little bit more, you would go ahead and add like a little lighter and darker value, to the drawing. And so that's why it sure seems that way, that, yeah, while you're going to be working on a drawing. And, I got all these other Cars characters too right here, as if you can see. But, whenever you're going to be working on a sketch right here, that you go ahead and add in a shadow right there. And so I'll go ahead and see if I can go ahead and get that down there to get a little bit darker. Yeah. So yeah, you got like a little lighter and darker value at about right down here. So let's say that if you come to the situation to where that you start seeing some of your colors kind of breaking up, and I don't know if you want to call them dissipating or something like that, to where they're kind of fading out and then kind of appearing at the same time. So it sure seems that way, to where that if you're trying to get maybe the brown and the black, this way right here, that you're trying to get the brown and the black to kind of work together. And that forms like a little gravelly type of rock. And like anybody may want to, that if you want to try to make the character look like that they're driving on a rocky road, or maybe on a racetrack or somewhere like that, and you're going to go ahead and add right in here, you'll go ahead and add right here is the details right here, working right here with the black and the brown right here. And so whenever you go ahead and color a little bit of that part in right there with the black and the brown right there, is it really going to show any source of effect, so far as if it's supposed to be gravel or rock, or if it's supposed to be stone or anything like that, stone paved roads or anything like that, for Radiator Springs. But I just really think too that you go ahead and take these darker colors and kind of blend them in together, and you want to know too, what do you get whenever you do that? And like, well, really, this right here, I'm like, yeah, some of these the race tracks, but like Radiator Springs, that whenever you're going to be driving on those roads. But in case of anybody that may wonder too, that whenever you color, a lot of times that you go ahead and color the character right here, but you don't really pay too much of attention to making the racetrack or the gravel or the dirt trails or anything like that, a little bit more artistic. But really, that between the blue flag or the red flag or anything like that, or the pink flag, the racing flags that you're likely thinking too is to where that you go ahead and add a little bit more artistic details, a few of the artistic details that were not there before. And so that's why it sure seems that way, to where that while you're going to be coloring, that you might add a few things in there that were not there before. And you're probably thinking too that, after you get done coloring, you're going to go ahead and maybe add like a little shadow right here, or anything else that you want to add that maybe was not there before. So a lot of times it sure seems that way, that whenever I color, a lot of times that it sure seems that way, that just like a puzzle, that you put that puzzle together, and that you're likely thinking too that you want to represent to the audience about what it looks like when it's finished. And after you get done putting the pieces together. But still, it's like, so far as one thing that maybe you could also do just to showcase your work, though. And like everybody, you're probably thinking too that if you want to add like a shadow or something like that, or something to impress your audience, and people might say that, if you want to go ahead and maybe write a poem about what you were coloring, and let's just say if it had something to do with maybe truck, or maybe something to do with how about the racing, about the race or something like that. So if you want to go ahead and maybe add like a little story, if you want to go ahead and write a story along with your picture drawings, and the story could also be related to about the Cars character, and knowing about for what they were doing in the pictures, and for how that they were thinking about during the race and all that. So yeah, that if you were to put together, this character right here, and let's just say that if you were to write like a poem or a story along with that character, that maybe that some would surprise a lot of kids with, and they're likely thinking too that, whenever you draw a picture of something, and let's just say that you would go and add something to that, and so it sure seems that way, to where that anywhere on the directions that may tell you that after you get done coloring, working that activity, that you should not add any more, such as you can't add a story, and you can't add a poem, or any verb or vocabulary words or anything like that to the story. And so it sure seems that way, to where that if you buy those activity books like from the stores, that they're like thinking too that directions say to go ahead and color this. So this right here is supposed to be blue, white, and gold, and that those sorts of directions. But let's just say though that if you go ahead and decide to go ahead after you get done coloring the activity, you want to go ahead and maybe add like a sentence to it. Sentence to about how the story starts, and about the Cars characters right there. But anyway, but there you have it. Talk about right here the Cars character right here, and we probably already know too that whenever you're going to be looking at something like a drawing right here, and want to know too that that's something that makes it a little bit more artistic right there, and you're like one or two that go ahead and put a shadow right there, and that shadow is going to represent is toward the lighter, darker, and blending values right there. But how often are we going to maybe think as to where you go ahead and put a reflection right there just because that, knowing that, you want to maybe show somebody about, how well that how to make the work a little bit. And that's usually how I say too, is to where whenever you add a shadow right there, you want to go ahead and maybe show about how well that you blended the background at work, like any space that you have underneath. And I know a lot of teachers used to tell me too that if you have extra time to go ahead and put like a cast shadow right behind the character right there. And so really that for any importance to why you would want to add a shadow to your work, but I just really think too that really, does that really show about how artistic that you can make something? But anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great day.